This is perfect for the 49ers, a potential free agent signing that the team should 100% push to make, because not only would it boost one of the most important position groups on this team, but I think it could change the trajectory of this team for years to come. And we're going to break that all down for you on this episode of Niners Digest. My name is Ethan Galbraith. Thank you so much for watching. We've already covered a lot in terms of what the Niners should prioritize this upcoming offseason if they really want to get over the hump and win a 6th Super Bowl. And one of the biggest needs is offensive line. I've talked about it being an issue before, and anybody who watched the Niners in 2025 knows that this offensive line needs an upgrade. And there's one player that's hitting the free agency market this offseason that I think the Niners should 100% push to go and bring onto the squad, because not only would he boost the offensive line immediately, I think he could boost the team and offense as a whole in general. But before we break that down, this video is sponsored by Kalshi, the US's largest prediction market. Kalshi lets users trade event contracts peer-to-peer instead of against a sports book. And Kalshi is live nationwide, so whether you're in California or Texas, it's live and available in your state. When you download Kalshi using the link in the description and use code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $10 after depositing your first $100. Now, one of the best opportunities to trade on Kalshi is with the Super Bowl, and it starts with who you think is going to win. Seattle is the big favorite to start before the game, but you can trade yes or no on either outcome, and you can trade on so much more. Maybe you think you know who's going to score the first touchdown of the game. Maybe you think you know how many points each team is going to score. You can trade on yes or no on all of that and so much more on Kalshi. So make sure to download Kalshi using the link in the description. Use code DIGESTNFL and you'll get $10 after depositing your first $100. Thank you again to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. Now, as everybody knows, one free agency signing is not going to immediately get a team over the hump. But this one player that the Niners, I think, should 100% prioritize as their number one free agent signing, he could get them pretty close to getting over the hump. And that is Tyler Linderbaum, the current Baltimore Ravens center, multi-time Pro Bowler, 25 years old. He has already proven a lot in his young career in the NFL for the Baltimore Ravens. And being the center for a dynamic quarterback like Lamar Jackson means a lot. And he has proven it, obviously, with the multiple Pro Bowl nods, but also his production and what the Ravens offense has been able to accomplish as a whole while he's been the center. And I think that directly correlates to what the Niners are trying to achieve with their offense, what they have achieved in the past, but what they weren't able to achieve in 2025 for multiple different reasons. You could chalk it up to injuries or other reasons, but the point being, the Niners just did not have a consistent running game this year. I've talked about it multiple times. I keep mentioning 4 yards a carry, because that is a pretty good threshold for what makes a solid run game, and the Niners never hit that. Whereas the Baltimore Ravens in 2025 did exactly that. They went well over 4 yards a carry, averaging over 5 yards a rush, and had over 2,600 rushing yards, as well as 23 touchdowns. All of these numbers are leaps and bounds ahead of what the Niners' run game was in 2025. And yes, the Baltimore Ravens did not make the playoffs, and the Niners did, but neither of them are winning a Super Bowl this year. So it doesn't hurt that the Niners need to improve their run game. And this is the potential of what Linderbaum brings to an offense. Yes, everybody sees this. So the Niners aren't just going to be the only team going after Linderbaum. He's going to ask for a big contract. But one of the talking points all leading into the offseason, especially since the Brandon Ayuk guarantees were voided on his contract, is that the Niners are going to have money to spend. I think the number one player that the Niners should go after in free agency is Tyler Linderbaum, because he is an immediate plug-and-play player for this Niners offense. And I think he immediately boosts what the Niners are trying to do, being physical on offense, especially on the offensive line. Chase Sr. feels the same way, and he talks about the Niners finally needing to address the offensive line. He says, quote, "What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. The Niners cannot continue to ignore their offensive line." He's 100% correct. The Niners have, for years now, not spent big money on offensive linemen, big name offensive linemen. They've actually let a couple of offensive linemen go. Think Aaron Banks most recently. Now they've historically given money to offensive linemen. This isn't a foreign concept to them. Think Trent Williams, think Alex Mack. So they even signed Colton McKivitz to a contract extension last year. So this isn't a new thing for the Niners, but it needs to be a priority this offseason because it's clear that the offensive line is the final hill that they need to get over, the final obstacle that they need to get over if they really want to go and win a Super Bowl. Because yes, the wide receiver room struggled this year, but you can chalk a lot of that up to the fact that the anticipated wide receiver one, Brandon Ayuk, just wasn't there all season. So of course they were going to have a lower ceiling without him. The offensive line, however, needs change this offseason. And Linderbaum is the immediate first thought that I think of when it comes to who the Niners could bring in for that immediate boost. And he's only 25 years old. You sign him to a long contract. He's here for the long run. Having him learn the system with Brock Purdy under center is going to be huge. You talk about him working with a dynamic quarterback in Lamar Jackson. Brock Purdy's a great quarterback too. We all know this. So there's one issue though, and that is that the Niners still have Jake Brendel, the current center, under contract. Now, this is no disrespect to Jake Brendel whatsoever, because he has held it down at center for some time now. But when you have a player like Linderbaum available to go and get, you need to go and get this star player like Linderbaum. Again, this is no disrespect to Jake Brendel at all. But when Linderbaum is a player of Linderbaum's caliber is available, you got to go make that move. You just have to. And I understand that the size of the contract that you're probably going to have to give him in order to pull him away from Baltimore, but other potential teams that want his services, you might need to let other lovable free agents go. But I think that's the price you need to pay because players like this don't hit free agency very often. We've talked about this previously. I've talked about this previously. Teams tend to hold on to their top offensive linemen because they know that there's so few of them that are in free agency. So if Linderbaum does not agree to a new contract with the Ravens, the Niners have to go get him. It's just as simple as that. I think that I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but of course the Niners have been hesitant. The front office has been hesitant to boost that offensive line as much as I think it needs to. And Trent Williams is getting older. He turns 38 this year. He's not going to be around for much longer in a Niners uniform or just in the NFL period. So there needs to be an overlap. Linderbaum does not play tackle, but an overlap of really good offensive linemen working together. So when Trent Williams inevitably does retire and is no longer holding down that offensive line, a guy like Linderbaum can take that place and quite literally in the center of the offensive line can be that anchor. So my final thoughts are go and make the move, John Lynch. Go and get Tyler Linderbaum. If the Ravens don't outbid you, you have to be that team that goes and signs this guy. He's a proven player. He's only 25 years old. He can be an immediate boost. And while one player does not solve all needs of a team, it puts them in a really good spot to not only boost the offensive line now, but because he's only 25 years old, you give him a long-term contract, he can be the centerpiece of this offensive line for years to come. So we'll see what actually happens. Maybe the Ravens just sign him and this is irrelevant and he doesn't go anywhere. But if he does become a free agent and wants to hear offers, the Niners need to be the number one team. Simple as that. But that's all we got for this episode of Niners Digest. Thank you so much for watching. We'll keep you updated on Linderbaum or any other potential offensive linemen that are hitting the free agency market and if they're a good fit for the Niners and if the Niners need to pursue them. But for now, that's all we got. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ethan Galbraith, and we will see you in the next video.